The bread was still in the oven. When archaeologists broke through the ash and reached the bakeries of Pompeii, they found 81 loaves, carbonized, perfectly shaped, still scored where the baker's knife had run across the dough that morning. The mill was stopped mid-turn. The coins were still on the counter. The wine jars were still full. A city of 20,000 people, frozen in the middle of an ordinary day. Not destroyed. Paused. Long before the mountain took it, Pompeii was alive in ways that would shock even the modern world. A city of pleasure, power, and excess. A place where wealth pooled like water, and where human appetite had no ceiling. The Romans called cities like this the jewels of the empire. But they whispered about Pompeii differently. They called it the city that forgot where to stop. Pompeii was born sometime in the 7th century BCE, settled first by the Oscan people in the fertile shadow of Mount Vesuvius, in the Campania region of what is now southern Italy. The Greeks came. The Etruscans came. Each left their mark on the city's language, its gods, its bones. By the time Rome absorbed it in 80 BCE, officially renaming it Colonia Cornelia Veneria Pompeianorum, Pompeii already had centuries of civilization beneath its feet. And what Rome found, it loved. The volcano, of all things, was the secret. Its ancient eruptions had blanketed the surrounding land in mineral-rich soil so fertile that farmers here produced harvests that seemed almost supernatural. Grapes grew heavy on the vine. Grain fields stretched toward the sea. The olive presses never stopped. Rome's elite arrived with their money and their appetites, building lavish summer villas along the coast, turning Pompeii into the empire's most fashionable resort. Senators vacationed here. Merchants made fortunes here. A population that swelled to somewhere between 10 and 20,000 souls called this place home. Walk its streets and you would have felt the pulse of a living machine. The Forum, the beating heart of civic life, was ringed with temples and colonnades. The amphitheater, one of the oldest surviving in the Roman world, built around 70 BCE, could hold 20,000 spectators roaring for blood. There were 3 public bath complexes, a concert hall, an Odeon, and a market district that never quite went silent. Street corner thermopolia, fast food counters with built-in stone vessels, served hot stew to laborers at dawn. Bakeries still had bread cooling in their ovens when the ash found them. But beneath this prosperous, civilized surface, something else was building. When archaeologists first began uncovering Pompeii in earnest in the 18th century, they expected a Roman town. What they found disturbed them so profoundly that entire rooms of excavated artifacts were locked away in Naples' secret museum, sealed from public view for over a century. Pompeii was not merely wealthy, it was unrestrained. Archaeologists have identified at least 25 separate brothels embedded into the city's streets. The most prominent, the Lupanar, meaning wolf's den, still stands near the Forum. Its stone beds are carved directly into the walls. Above each room, explicit frescoes served as a kind of menu. This was not hidden. This was advertised. Phallus carvings etched into the pavements functioned as street-level signage, pointing the way. Erotic imagery appeared not just in brothels but on household objects, on bakery walls, on garden fountains. In Pompeii, sexual expression was woven into the fabric of public life in a density unmatched at any other Roman site ever excavated. Scholars debate whether this reflects the character of the town specifically, or whether it was an amplified version of Roman culture broadly, intensified by the influx of wealthy visitors whose desires could be monetized at every corner. The bars ran all night. Dice were found inside nearly every tavern. Gambling was technically illegal, though the law was enforced about as seriously as a suggestion. Wine flowed in quantities that numbed the city. The bars of Pompeii would have been loud after dark, lit by oil lamps, thick with smoke and argument and laughter. When early explorers first saw the extent of it all, many reached for the only comparison they knew. They called Pompeii a new Sodom, a city destroyed by the heavens for the weight of its sins. Whether they were right about the reason, they were not wrong about the destruction. It was an ordinary morning in the late summer of 79 CE. Probably late August, though some geological and botanical evidence now points toward late October. The city was going about its business. Shoppers out in the streets, slaves working the food stalls, gladiators training for the next games at the amphitheater. High above the city, Mount Vesuvius, which the people of Pompeii regarded simply as a very large hill, possibly sacred, certainly fertile, began to shake. There had been tremors for days. There were always tremors in Campania. Nobody stopped what they were doing. At approximately 1 in the afternoon, the mountain opened. A column of superheated gas, pumice, and ash detonated upward with a force estimated at 100,000 times the power of the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The column rose 20 kilometers into the sky. The sky went dark. Pumice the size of fists began to rain on Pompeii. Some fled immediately and survived. But the roads were blocked. The sea was too rough. And many, whether from disbelief, from duty, from the paralysis that overtakes human beings in the face of the incomprehensible, stayed. Through the night, the pumice built up. Roofs collapsed under its weight. People were crushed where they stood. Others barricaded themselves inside cellars and storerooms, clutching their valuables, waiting for it to stop. It did not stop. In the early hours of the following morning, the eruptive column collapsed. 6 separate pyroclastic surges, avalanches of superheated gas and volcanic debris moving at hurricane speed, reaching temperatures of up to 300 degrees Celsius, rolled down the slopes of Vesuvius and through the city. Those still alive were killed in seconds, not burned, not buried, killed instantly by the thermal shock, their muscles contracting in the heat, their bodies fixed forever in the positions of their final moments. Approximately 2,000 people are estimated to have perished within the city itself. Entire families found together in cellars, a soldier still gripping his sword, a dog chained to a post, unable to run, a pregnant woman who never made it to the door. Within 18 hours, Pompeii was gone. Buried under 4 to 6 meters of ash and pumice, erased from the map, forgotten almost completely for 16 centuries. When workers rediscovered the site in 1748, they found something the world had never seen. A city not ruined, but paused. Frescoes still bright on walls that had not seen daylight in 1700 years. Bread carbonized in bakery ovens. Graffiti scratched into plaster by bored teenagers. A child's shoe, a merchant's ledger, a lover's insult scrawled in the dark. And the bodies. The ash that killed them also preserved the hollow shapes they left behind. When archaeologists poured plaster into those voids, they recovered something that no other archaeological site on Earth has ever produced: human beings in the full, terrible intimacy of their last seconds. A man shielding his face, 2 people holding each other, a child who appears heartbreakingly to be sleeping. Pompeii does not give us ruins. It gives us people. Today, more than a third of the ancient city remains unexcavated. Beneath the ground, entire streets and houses have never been touched. Every year, new discoveries surface. a ceremonial banquet hall uncovered in 2019, its frescoes still vivid with color, a fast food counter fully intact, the skeletons of two men, one wealthy, one a slave, found side by side in a collapsed chamber in 2020, the city's rigid social hierarchies meaningless in the end. And above it all, Vesuvius still stands, still active, still watched. 3 million people visit Pompeii every year. They walk the same flagstone streets. They read the same graffiti. They look into the glass cases at the plaster casts and recognize in those twisted, reaching forms something uncomfortably familiar. Somewhere beneath the unexcavated earth, a door is still closed. A table is still set. A hand is still reaching for something it never found.